我们今天来讲葡萄酒杯中的工艺品 Riedel。各位朋友，大家好，欢迎陪我威爸一起来喝果汁。这是一个与你分享葡萄酒知识的频道。俗话说，工欲善其事，必先利其器。拿水晶杯喝红酒可以啊，拿纸杯喝红酒也可以。不过，如果有好酒，大多数的人都会选择比较好的杯子，因为酒杯不同的材质、形状都会大大的增进葡萄酒的风味哦。有时候我跟朋友吃饭的时候，我会带着 Riedel 来，就这个袋子，自己会带自己的杯子。除了可以展现很重视我朋友跟客人以外， Riedel 给人的感觉就是大气、高贵、有质感。懂的宾客看到也会觉得，哇，这个主人很有 sense。没有比较，没有伤害，一比较差异就知道。为了让大家认识 Riedel 这个品牌，威爸先帮大家来科普一下。Riedel 是来自于奥地利，他们可以说是全世界唯一的葡萄酒品种专用水晶杯的品牌，也是我们现在所认知葡萄酒杯型的发明者。我们业内会说它是酒杯之王。Riedel 至今已经有267年的历史。说到267年前，大家还没有出生，让威爸给大家一个基本的概念。Riedel 创立的时候呢，拿破仑还没有出生，美国还没有独立，莫扎特刚刚才出生，历史真的很悠久，很悠久。再来讲到 Riedel 一个很特别的地方，他们会针对不同的葡萄品种生产不同的专业杯款，因为 Riedel 发现杯子的形状会影响葡萄酒的香气跟口感。从1950年代就研发出全球第一个被称为是 Burgundy 的酒杯，后续开始研发出各种的葡萄品种专用杯款，目前就是为了完整呈现葡萄酒的最佳风味。Riedel 现在除了葡萄酒杯，也针对烈酒、鸡尾酒、Espresso 咖啡、Coca-Cola 专用杯等研发出多功能性的杯款。好，说这么多，我们就今天欢迎很重要的一个好朋友 Riedel 的第11代传人，现任 Riedel 的总裁 Maximilian Riedel 来跟我威爸一起喝果汁，一起讲故事。Let's go, man. Let's go. Hi, Maximilian.
Well, good to see you.
Welcome to Taiwan.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, I've been just telling our viewers about Riedel brand and the history of the Riedel family has been, what, 267 years?
Yes.
Yes, and we can also read many articles about Riedel. And however, we believe that there are still something that we are missing out and some interesting story that is behind the scene. As far as I know, in the past 2 years, Riedel has, I think in the headquarters, right? They have built a museum. Mm-hmm. And I heard that you have spent a lot of effort in collecting many historical stories, items, and some of original lost.
Yeah.
So can you share with us some of the stories that are hidden?
Sure.
You know, I mean, you can find everything on the internet, but you know, there's always something that are hidden.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you share with us?
Well, I can tell you so many stories that we will fill a book sooner or later, but fact is that we're the oldest glass producer in the world, family owned, 11th generation. And when I returned from the United States, where I was stationed for 15 years, I used to live in New York, I moved back to Austria. Okay. And so many people told me stories about my family, the past of the family. I became very curious and I hired historians to work with me. And obviously, my family did not have the capabilities, the knowledge to collect old Riedel pieces. So during COVID, when everybody was stalling, I decided to go out and build a museum.
That's respectful. Okay.
Dedicated to not only the generations that used to live and work in Austria, but pre-Austria, which was pre-World War I and World War II. Back in Bohemia, which is nowadays Czech Republic, and so much was found. I was surprised how much the history in the country where we are from originally hasn't changed. Factories are still operating, sadly not anymore under our name. And whenever you drop the name Riedel locally, where my family is from, people still can tell you stories. And eBay was the place to be because
really?
I
eBay?
bought so many beautiful products going back 10 years.
Okay.
And I see that all of a sudden a lot of collectors started to collect also Riedel product from the old days. So the prices have gone up in the last 10 years incredibly.
Okay.
But when I started to collect and I work with a historian, the goal is of course to bring forward a book sooner or later. So I'm working on a book which I plan to launch within the next 12 months.
So will it be multilingual or just?
Definitely, but of course originally I'm going to start it in German, my mother tongue, and in English because it's still the international language.
Yes.
And we go from there. But beautiful stories that will be in the book, a lot of product that you would not relate to the modern story of Riedel. Most of the product then was not related to wine because only my grandfather, Klaus Riedel, was the man who figured it out, who enjoyed wine and turned his passion into work and started to craft glasses around the theme of wine. And then it came my father, George, who had the idea, thanks to the influence of Angelo Gaia, Mondavi and Parker, to build glasses according to the grape varieties. And this is where we are now.
Wow, it's amazing. It is amazing. But Riedel's products are actually divided to handmade and to machine made, from my understanding. And we all know that the price of handmade glasses are slightly more expensive than the machine made glasses. So I think it's very important to let our fans and the fans of Riedel to know what is the difference between hand and machine made, not only in terms of the price, but what is the value and the techniques and the steps and the details different in making a handmade glass that makes it very valuable. So please let us know about it.
So handmade glass,
Yes.
that is a very important chapter because I don't foresee necessarily a big future for it. Not because there is a lack in demand. The demand for handmade product has increased significantly.
Yes.
The reason is nobody wants to work in a factory anymore. And since we are...
It's very hot.
Not only that, people want to become doctors and lawyers.
Yes.
Parents educate their kids, making sure that they have a better life. And so we are the only or one of the few glass producers from Austria in the heart of Europe. So people's vision for their future is not to work in a factory. They want to work, as I said, behind a desk on a computer. So the biggest challenge for all the glass producers of the modern times is to find the talent, to find the people. So since it's such a reduced market for people who can work with glass, can shape and craft a glass, this is our biggest challenge. And of course, it's the labor. You need about 10 people to work on one glass.
So
bring
10
it to market.
in one glass?
Well, you have to have 5 to shape it, and then the rest to finalize the product. So it is labor intense, it's energy intense, and what comes with glass is the knowledge about glass. So nobody can just start a glass factory next door without having the tradition and the knowledge. And keeping this alive, keeping this going is one of the biggest challenges. And since it's being handmade, what people don't understand, since it's being crafted by us humans, it can never be perfect versus a machine-made product.
That's very important.
What I don't like is people buying such a unique piece and criticize it if there is a flaw, if there is an imperfection. But that's actually what makes it unique and special, because the machine makes no mistakes. One looks like the other. It performs at the highest level. With handmade, you're buying a handmade piece, like a piece of art. None of the pieces are alike, because if the master who pulls the stem, always trying to keep the same length, the same finesse, or the base has a good or a bad day, it can vary. So the uniqueness is because it's handmade.
See, I think that's a very, very important point. It's for Taiwan. So they need to understand that handmade is not perfect.
Correct.
And you're paying the price is not for the perfection of the product, but the skills, the time, that and the amount of manpower that's put into the product.
And how limited it is.
And limited.
That's very important. I think that people understand that if something is handmade, especially when it comes from Europe, no matter what you collect, starting with fine wine from Europe, compare it with other wines, how on certain vineyards, grapes must be picked by hand.
Yes.
Artificial irrigation does not exist, etc. Increases the value of the product. The same with our handmade products. Skilled people, limited amount, and of course the product is so rare and limited, and the global demand is increasing significantly. We can't keep up. Right now, if you place a new order with my factory, you have to wait at least 12 months to receive it.
12 months. So if you order handmade glasses right now, it takes a year before you can actually receive it. Yes, it's incredible. So that's why in recent years, Riedel has continuously launched new series of glasses, and most of them are machine-made.
Yes.
And from the very classic Riedel Veritas, which I love, okay, and Performance, which you created, which is awesome wine, and Wine Wings and Riedel Veloce. And these series are launched last year. Veloce is the most recent one from my understanding. And we found that the technology of mechanical production is becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yes.
So, and I know that there will be one series that used to be handmade, which is Super Leggero.
Yes.
And it will become machine made. I think it is very important for the fans of Riedel to understand what's the significance. I mean, has the technology and the sophistication of machine made reaching the handmade? And you know, just let them understand about machine made.
I think we surpassed handmade.
Wow.
Well, because most people are looking for perfection.
Yes.
And when we talk about a Riedel wine glass is a fascinating tool for all the wine lovers. It's fine-tuned. And if something is made by hand, it varies from product to product. You might not even see the variation, but a millimeter in difference in width of a wine glass will show the wine differently. And what people need to understand, my biggest pride is to come forward with technology which is in-house developed to make the thinnest, lightest, best performing wine glasses in the world. Yes. The Riedel glass is not just another glass. It is an iconic product because if it's handmade or machine made, Riedel always sets the pace. And when we talk about the new collections, is the latest collection of Riedel always the best? Yes, otherwise we wouldn't do it.
I totally agree.
So when it comes to technology, people need to understand you cannot buy a glass machine or a factory, plug it in and it works. All the machinery is self-developed. All the technicians in-house are working with us to step up and set the benchmark for the industry. And we've been doing this for the last generations. And when we talk about the new collections, Riedel Veloce and Riedel Super Leggero, and for the first time we're bringing a collection that used to be handmade forward as a machine-made product. Why? Because I think it's so much better and the demand is growing. We can't keep up with handmade production. So we try to bring forward, and Riedel nowadays produces 60 million glasses a year, imagine. But the demand is so high. Why? Because the world makes wine. Even I learned today, Taiwan is growing fruit to make wine.
Yes.
I was last week in the Netherlands. I was in Belgium. I did not know they're also growing wine because wine is fascinating. Wine goes with food so well. But the piece that communicates to our senses the fruit of wine must be the Riedel glass. So the Riedel glass is the loudspeaker, and I think the better job we do, the more the consumer can enjoy their wines.
That's very clear. And Maximilian, do you have anything else that you would like to share with the fans of Riedel?
Yes, so much to share. Yeah. But first of all, I would like to thank you for doing a great job.
Thank you.
I think more and more people and companies in Taiwan drink wine at its best from a Riedel glass.
Definitely.
Today we gave out some awards.
Oh yes.
First time that we had an award ceremony
Yes.
for restaurants using grape varietal specific glasses. I think that's an idea which we want to take global. But one last thing I need to add. You must decant your wines. I think that wine benefits, young wine benefits greatly, and the only way to do this is by decanting your wine. Young wine, old wine for different reasons. Older wines to split the wine from the sediment, young wine to let it breathe, for it to develop much faster. Being it white wine, red wine, rosé, and sometimes even young vintage champagne, I'm a big believer in decanting.
And Riedel do have a very extensive design and collection of very good decanters.
Yes, we do. Handmade, machine-made, different price points, so there's no excuse.
Yeah. Well, 感谢 Maximilian 来到台湾跟我们分享 Riedel 的这个故事。下一期威爸会带你看传说中比品酒会更少见的品杯会是什么。如果你喜欢这个系列，记得分享给你们朋友，还有最后要记得按赞，开这个起小铃铛，这样子你才可以第一个时间呢可以看到最新的影片。我是威爸，下次再见，拜拜。Thanks, Maximilian. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Let's raise our glass for better taste.
Of course. Cheers.
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 Cheers.